right. Welcome. We are going to be kicking off a new game of Battle Brothers. With all of the recent War Tales hubbub, I just couldn't help myself but keep reminded of Battle Brothers, and it's one of the games that I've been playing for years. I have 645, I just checked, which is a little frightening, hours into Battle Brothers over the years. Have all the DLC. I think it's one of the better games that's ever been produced. It just has that right mix of qualities that give you replayability without much compromise. I think it's a rather hard game, and I'm going to play it in what I think will be a rather hard setup, and we'll see how far we get to. One of the primary things that they've introduced over time are the origins. It used to nearly be that the only one that you had was the company tutorial. They now have quite a number of others. I'm going to lower the overall audio just a touch more. That feels better, levels wise. It's always kind of an interesting balance on a per game basis. Just bring it up like a tiny notch more, because you do want to hear them chopping at each other when they do. And one of the interesting things that they introduced over the DLC in years are the options for alternative origins, and of those, one of the ones I like particularly is the Raider start. You start experienced with 3 barbarians with decent gear. You have a greater chance to pillage, and you start with bad relations with most of the humans out there, which allows you to do something that I always felt sort of missing from the base game, which is raid caravans. So it tends to be what I enjoy. I also believe that you start with a tag-along in your party, which reminds me a bit of the Vikings series, which was on History Channel, but was also a really good set of books, where you start with a corresponding, what would you call it, a monk, basically, along for the ride that likely you captured during raiding some bearing some raid on a monastery or some such, plundering loot. We're going to rename our guys to Band of the Faceless, which just sounds both interesting and fitting for a barbarian band, of whom we, playing in the mode that we're going to, I think we may lose and acquire some folks with regularities. It could be that we get wiped out in the entirety fairly quickly. It will all be luck of the draw, with a fair amount of the world already against us. We will also be basically apt to the RNG of Battle Brothers overall, where every now and then, if you don't get away from them, you can run into a powerful band that just takes you out. So we're going to try to make as few bad decisions as possible. We're going to start on veteran across both economic and combat. We're going to lower our starting funds to medium and tick on Iron Man mode to up the challenge, so it's one and done. If we do get killed, we get killed. And we're also going to have the map be unexplored. I think we'll probably start based on being Northern Raiders in the northern part of the map, and more than likely everybody around us will not be very happy with us. And we'll have to see where it goes from there. After you and your party killed half of them, the villagers finally submitted. A white flag was raised, and they offered parley, which you were happy to grant. In a single line, they walked out to the town square where they had been holding a festival. Jewels and treasures filled their arms, and they dumped the goods where you stood. boot atop the smashed skull of their mare. Your vanguard of Hirgold, Heil the Defiler, Grimnir, and Braum kept careful watch of the ceremony like buzzards watching a slow death. The last in line was a monk. He had no gold or silver on him, but instead spoke to you, his words immediately drawing the weapons of your fellow raiders. You allowed him to speak, and he spoke at length about the old gods and how the treasures of the heavens superseded all of that which terror could offer. You told him his death was written by the wagging chin of his. The monk pursed his lips. All right, then if you want gold, depart these silly games. This raiding and pillaging, it is all worthless compared to the treasures of the south. The nobles won't have you in their armies, but they are forever in need of mercenaries and rarely have the time or luxury of choosing where these hired fighters come from. You'd make all the crowns you'd ever want, come south raiders, and be sublimated into sellswords. Grimnar demands the monk's head, but you stay the execution. Instead, you take the crafty monk at his word. You have long heard of southern riches and the travels of adventurous swords for hire. You decide to venture south so long as the monk comes with. Grimnar protests, but you won't have it. If this little pale shit of a monk is your lucky charm to a new life, then it would be an affront to the old gods to leave him be. The raider storms off, but Hirgold, Heil the Defiler, and Braum have no qualms about following you. The rest of the war party returns north, a split in the loot being made. What remains of the village is left behind to recover, rebuild, and make new goods for stronger tribes to come and will take for themselves. We'll strike out south. I had the UI boosted just a little bit. Normally play this on a much wider screen. But I think that it's fitting for about the 1440p that we're running at. Let's have a look at the party that we rolled. We have Hirgold. He is afraid of beasts, which may not help early on, but he is dexterous and gets +5 to his melee skill. He also has 2 stars in melee skill, health, and fatigue, which are generally the 3 most important attributes that you might want. He has a double grip on a blunt cleaver, which is a fairly powerful weapon for this part in the game. And he has Fenrir the Warhound as his companion. We also have the option to bump him on 2 levels. Let's take a look at Haile the Defiler. He is in good spirits and has no special traits beyond that. Has the same buffs in terms of health, melee attack, and endurance, but slightly different breakdown of the buff points. And we have Braum. And Braum is very similar to his brothers, although rather than fatigue, he has his buffs on melee defense, which could be useful. We have a little bit of plunder that we split in the beginning story of the game. And we also have Friso, the traveling monk, who has now accompanied us, but he's athletic with an iron jaw, which are potentially valuable traits for a potential fighter. His only real skill buff is on resolve, though. So let's go ahead and give our guys some initial upgrades. I've always thought that it's best for you to take your skill upgrades where offered at the maximum random values that they do. So we're going to buff the 4 on health, the 5 on initiative, and I'm not really a big concern about range defense right now. We're going to buff melee skill as well. Then we get a second bump because we're starting 3rd level on these barbarians. We have the options for upping the hit points again. And here we're going to up your fatigue. And with the choice between melee skill and initiative, I think melee skill wins out. We also have 2 perks that we can add. And he doesn't have any particular weaknesses. I think Colossus is a useful perk early game to get that extra 25% of hit points. Pathfinder as well, that allows you to move rather quickly. But also student, and just early on getting your extra 20% of experience for the ongoing game is better for longer term progression. And we're hoping we're going to survive. You might hear my bulldog snoring in the background. Not sure if that's coming through the mic. I think we're going to start off with the student perk and the Colossus perk. Rather than jump into the second level perks just now, because this is the beginning of the game and we're using these as pretty much initial buffs, I want to position us for survival as much as possible. We're going to go with health, fatigue, and initiative on Heil. I like Heil better of those two. I think we're going to start with that same baseline of perks, which is a real tendency that I think I find myself having in Battle Brothers, is that I tend to build my frontline guys the same way and my backline guys the same way for ranged or for two-handed length weapons, that type of thing. Probably something I should be getting away from, but 645 hours in, I'm not sure I'm going to change much at this point. We're going to take the melee defense there. He has much more a lower melee skill or melee skill than his brothers. Going to bump his defense again though. And we're going to similarly give him Colossus and Student. So that gives us our initial rig out. We don't have a weapon that we can give Friso, so we're going to need to acquire some. Purchasing is not an option because we are deep in the north and Varde doesn't like us. With the map hidden, we don't know what is there to hold for us. You can see interesting little repetition in their cloud texture. You can see the lines. It's kind of interesting. So let's take a look real quick at the relations that we have. We have House Eberlin, who's threatening towards us, and we have House Grimond, who are neutral towards us, and then House Steinwall, who are hostile, and we have a number of settlements who are also hostile to us, and then the southern city-states are neutral. So we need to probably find House Grimond, and I've always kind of liked being with the what looked to me like elk antlers, being where we're from and what hangs around in the neighborhood. I've always liked aligning with them besides. So what we'll try to do is profit as much as possible and survive until we can find House Grimond, which will likely be our first opportunity for acquiring additional party members and or equipment, unless we kill some folks prior to then. So Varde is a rather large village. In theory, we have just ruined their outskirts, which was likely just settlement buildings from the overlay tip. And we definitely are in the far north. So So we're going to move south, and we're going to go off-road a little bit and see what we have to get to. I'm going to do a couple things. We're going to toggle footprints. And we are going to lock the camera to ourselves. So we have the choice of east or west. We're going to try west. Looks like we're coming upon another settlement. Potentially? No? That's just on its own. Let's go have a look. No, that is just part of the settlement. I think as much time as I have into this game, we're going to need to run because those guys will definitely nuke us and our current capabilities. I'm going to put some hills between ourselves and them and then cut along the front of the mountains. I'm going to assume most everything to the north is likely hostile to us. So we're going to move to the south a little bit. I'm going to go on top of this hill to see what we can see. This is also Weilsheim. So if both of these, all three of the villages we ran into so far are House Steinwall. So we just need to find another area on the map where potentially we can get some level of safety and potentially work. Go to the west again. So as the company takes a break, you decide to address the men. Brothers, I want to know what the Band of the Faceless are. Not just cutthroats and errand boys, but skilled fighters of the First Order. Word of our deeds must spread so that merchants and noblemen are begging us to take their contracts. What do you tell the men that the company will set out to do? We can discover and pillage a wilderness location. We can get a bond of friendship. We can raid caravans, or we can get our strength to 12 men. I think initially we're going to need to get friendly relations with someone that we find, and then we'll have the men to do these other types of actions. So that is the plan of action. Getting over to the edge of the map. Shift return. Now, that trading caravan would have been perfect. We would have very likely been able to overtake that one, but we also have 10 thugs closing in behind it, so we're going to back out. The thugs are actually coming. Yep, they took the caravan. I don't think they're going to get weakened enough for us to be competitive with them at this point in the game. And it wouldn't be great to die in the first 10-15 minutes. Looks like they're hunting for us. I'm going to cross through the hills. And it didn't look like they lost a man taking out the caravan. Let's check on our provisions. We have 4 days of provisions, 11 days of equipment, or 11 days of pay. Alright, so some peasants from Edelwald. Edelwald, I think, already doesn't like us, so we're going to take your peasants to battle. Hopefully we can get some equipment for Friso out of the mix. We're going to advance until we see what we have to deal with. There shouldn't be much competition here. There's 5 of them. I don't think they're going to close on us. They're going to likely try to hold a defensive position. Well, let's see. That is Rufus roofing in the background. So we're going to want to close and make sure that we don't expose ourselves to too much potential height advantage. Going to unleash the Warhound to give ourselves some extra attacks. So we only have 1 armed peasant remaining. Heil cut him down. We're going to jump Friso over and pick up the club that's on the ground. They have broken on their morale, so we're just going to circle around to get some free attacks as they move. Peasants dispatched. Got some decent rewards, some provisions, and a handy-dandy wooden stick for Friso. Let's make sure he remains equipped with the best condition one. Alright, so those peasants came from that direction. What was the name of the town? It was like Edelwald, which is not one of the 3 that we're seeing there. So in all likelihood, the town in question is further to the east, but that will not benefit us to go check out. So we're going to continue to look for friendlier territory. Our goal will not be to let relations cool off with those kingdoms, but to build up strong enough so that we can go back and visit them again. I think it's one of the reasons that I like the Northern Raider start is that you don't have to make the choice to turn hostile with some of the human factions, but you basically have that choice made for you right from the start, and it just gives you more to interact with overall on the map. So we have a battle site and we have some footprints. We're gonna probably run into some aggressors, most likely bandits. I'm gonna smoke for this moment of the game. Although I am from Colorado, and this may appear to be a varied substance, these are actually Partagas Puritos, which are like tasty little mini cigars. I like cigars quite a bit, but too much cigar, I have found, at least makes me feel at maximum cigar level. So I don't want to get there today. So we got brigands. All right, so they're the raiders. Those are essentially second level to us, and we do not want to tangle with them if we can help it. So we're going to try to lose them. We seem a little bit faster. We're going to cut into the trees and see if we can get away. That might have been a mistake. They're similarly slowed though. We're going to get into the forests. Start moving off. Alright, that was Edelwald. So we were right. That was the road that we were on where we just ambushed the peasants. And Edelwald was not very far to the west beyond that. We're going to cut down here. It looks like potentially there's a pass through the mountains. Those raiders would have likely been just too deadly to take on at this point in our characters. Heil the Defiler shares tales around the campfire of northern heroics and monsters. There can't be much said of his dialogue, given that he isn't the most eloquent, but he does a great job of it, through miming and drawing in the ground. One tale seems to be that of a huge warrior defeating a much larger warrior, or perhaps even defeating an ogre. It's hard to tell, but the barbarian makes a fascinating display of combat, which the men applaud. It puts Hailey in good spirits, which we'll take. Alright, so we got some forest to cross in the middle of the night, which may not be advisable. But we'll see what we can do. There's some monster foot tracks ahead of us. Those monsters could be potentially something we'd want to take on, but we'd have to see. So we're moving more central into the map. See what we had to find. I also find that I like the start with an unexplored map. It just ups the challenge of surviving, because you can get yourself into trouble without much trouble. And it just adds to the discovery aspect of finding your way around. Trying to pick our way through the hills rather than the rocky crags, if possible, to make our pace not held up too much. We've reached the Scree Barrows. So we have not seen any hint of population for a bit now. We're going to cut down, see if we can cross these mountains to the south. We have 3 more days of provisions. Have to keep a mild eye on that. We go around the outskirts of this forest. So wandering into random ruins without knowing what's inside, probably not advisable. Right now, this is primarily about survival. Some young orc. It would be possible. There's only 3 of us. And then we have our supporting guy. I don't know that we're ready to take on orcs right yet either. Probably seems a little conservative or wimpy, but being that we want the Band of the Faceless to survive, we essentially just need more people and gear and experience before we try to do too much more than SWAT peasants and kill some thugs. Maybe stretch that out and take some wolves out. Getting a perceptual change to the biosphere, a little more grassland, and we have reached another sign of civilization. Looks like the towns here to the left. It's hard to tell if they're friendly or not from here, so we'll move wide and fast. So we've reached the second kingdom, House Eberlin, who doesn't like us either. Unfortunate. And it looks like we have a massive citadel there. We are going to try to stay as far away from as possible. So that's a good sign. This is the first Grolfest company. That is the one kingdom who doesn't have issue with us. At least I thought so. They seem to be chasing us, though. Not quite sure why. Okay, we proved to be faster. They gave up the chase. It could be that small amount of negative looking relation was enough to make them want to perform some ill deed to us. I'm going to hug the bottom rim of this mountain range. Sort of like a deer survival mechanism that if something's approaching us from the south or from the north, we can run away to faster territory like those orc raiders that we just saw there. Or if they come at us from the south, we can likely get up and over the hills first. Friso, the modest monk, enters your tent with a vial in hand. The flask is topped with a bark stopper and a wreath of greenery with berries hanging beneath the leaves. Inside the vial is goldish liquid sloshing about. Whatever it is catches any glimpse of light, and it seems to capture it and swirl it around. He holds it out. "Blessed water, sir, to fight the dead that walk again." You ask if it's a gift from the old gods, and he nods. You ask if it's really a gift from the old gods, though, and he purses his lips. No, not exactly. The monasteries know how to make it, but it's an ancient recipe protected under penalty of death. Of course. You thank the man for taking such a risk to contribute and tell him to put it in the inventory. Go ahead and equip the flask of blessed water. We are starting to get concerningly low on food. So we know there's a road down here to the south. We know that at least neutral armies were traveling from east to west. The hunters, 4 young orc, are still chasing us. Looks like there's a town right here. I think survival begats that we're going to go for the town. And it is the first friendly town that we have found. We're going to enter. So we're in a friendly town that has ambush trade routes. That makes the selection of goods lower and the prices higher. Fortunately, we have our stash items that we can sell for over asking, which is nice. Take it. Now we need food, and food is very expensive, but feels necessary. But let's get an overall perspective on what our opportunities are here. Our other options are to take a contract from them, which may be to relieve their ambush trades routes, and we also can hire some fodder, because with this start and our well-equipped early game guys, we really just want to build out some options for absorbing additional damage from our main characters, basically. So we have a butcher who's rather expensive, but he would also come with a cleaver, and his early butcher schmuck will be slightly better equipment than normal. We have Asgir the Rock, which implies that he probably has a positive trait, like the thick-chinned one of our monk or some such. Arnold, a peddler. Guntram the miner, with a pickaxe, which might also be a decent weapon, and a bit of face protection. And Hanky the farmhand. We have 1,500 gold after selling our plunder. We're going to have a bit less after we purchase that expensive food. Askir is cheaper, but he doesn't have a weapon. We have a couple of our little clubs that we acquired off the peasants. Well, I don't think we really care in this point of the game about negative traits, so trying them out to discover what those are is probably less important. Hanky the farmhand has a 12 gold daily wage, which if I had to guess, makes him greedy, because that seems outweighed in comparison to his fellows. So 290, 170, and 260. That's going to be 550, 650, 720. We're going to do that. Being that two of them come with weapons already, we're going to spread them out a bit. I want to keep the monk alive, so I'm going to keep him in the rear. What I'd like to do is get him a ranged weapon, which we could do here with the pitchfork or the war fork. And that war fork isn't a terrible deal, being that it's damaged, but we have some goods to repair it. So we're definitely going to need, I think that with the markup on goat cheese being less than the markup on bread, and the spoilage being longer, we're going to pick up the 2 goat cheese. Let's take a look at the skills of the new guys that we picked up. We picked up Falk the Butcher, who has a hate for greenskins, 10-point resolve when in battle with them, which could be useful because there's some right outside town. And he's brave with a 5% bump on resolve. He's got a buff to melee skill and melee skill. I wonder if there's a school of thought on that. Melee or melee. Melee sounds like the appliances. But he's got a very good buff on hit points and a decent buff on resolve, and already has decent skills overall. We got Guntram the Miner. He's in good spirits, nothing else notable, but he does have fairly strong buffs to both his melee skill and his range skill. And we have Asgir the Rock, and as I guessed, he did have an iron jaw based on his nickname. And he also has Dexterous, which is a +5 melee skill. His main buff is on melee defense, his secondary is on fatigue, and his tertiary is on range skill. So we don't have the money to buff these guys very much. I don't know if we want anything to do with those orcs right outside of town. But we do have the money to get a couple 2-tile range weapons that we could use as support weapons and as a way to level up some of these lower level guys who have fairly decent buffs. This guy having 3 stars on both attack skills and a star on health and no negatives, that's fairly strong. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to set up the line like this. We're going to take away his pickaxe. Give that to Asgir the Rock. This mouthpiece, since he's in the back, doesn't help many, so we're going to move it up to Falk. And a butcher looks better with a face bandana on. We're honestly going to get rid of Friso's weapon, and we're going to likely go in and replace those with the war fork and the pitchfork as a means to provide material support. might be a better idea to sacrifice Friso over one of these guys that has about 10% higher melee skills. But let's see what the contract is first. A hooded man gestures you to follow him. Nervously looking over his shoulder, he leads you to the back room of a local tavern. Before addressing you, he takes his time to peek out the windows, probably looking for anyone eavesdropping. A figurehead by the name of Gerlach the Burgomeister wishes to see you. He's a man of some repute in this town, so you understand my discretion. He slides a paper to you. There are directions written on it. Gerlach the Burgomeister takes a seat in a chair big enough to be comfortable for two. He bandies a mug back and forth. Brigands have been harrying us for weeks now, and just yesterday they tried to set fire to a pub. Can you believe that? Who sets fire to such a thing? Luckily, we put it out just in time, but things are getting bad around here. If they threaten our precious drink, what will they do next? Luckily, we managed to find where these vagrants are hiding, so yes, I see your look. It's a simple task, Sellsword. We want you to go out and kill every last brigand there. Are you willing to work with us? How many crowns are we talking about? He smiles. This will make you a rich man, my friend. You are to receive 460 crowns when the contract is done. We're going to act for some of the money up front. Nope, don't push me too far. You are to receive 460 crowns. We don't really have any reputation. We're not in a very strong negotiating position, so we're going to go ahead and accept his offer. And the brigands are in a camp east of Schneeberg, and we're going to accept the contract. So 480 crowns will be decent. It'll get us about 4 days of pay. That gives us a little space to consider purchases. We got the pitchfork for 188 and the warfork for 260. That's 448, which is only going to give us a couple days. Let's take a look at where the camp is. It's going to take a fair bit to get to. It's already midday. And we have orc hunters coming in and still interested in our party. Let's take a look at the weaponsmith just in case. But there's nothing that is particularly viable for us to acquire there at this point. None of our fodder have decent range skills. We're all using one-handed weapons. We could use that shield. Definitely want the pitchfork. We're going to sell our sticks. I think for now, that's going to be it. We'll give the pitchfork to Guntram. And we should have the provisions and the money to make it to the bandit camp and back. It's probably going to take us a day or a day and a half. So off we go. Let's see if we can get out of here with the hunters if we can lose them. We may not. Cut through the hills. Some brigand raiders. What? That is wrong. All right. We're going to try it. This could be the end of the Band of the Faceless. We're going to need to make this happen and then escape to the east to get away from the orcs. But it's quite possible that these guys, dang, may be stronger than we are ready to take. So we got 4 brigand raiders. One of them has a pike. Another has a war axe. We're fighting uphill against fortifications. We are going to... Another has a war hammer. Another has a morning star. So if we look at their armoring, looks like the best option would be to try to kill the guy with the pike, since he's their biggest damage dealer. And he's also only wearing like buffed leather. And all of the others we should be potentially looking at trying to hit in the head because they're unarmored. So if we continue to move forward, we're going to move into pike range. There's a route through the fortifications down here that I'm going to try to skirt. Now he'll be able to move one and attack, which is possibly what they will do. I'm going to make a little blob down here. So the pike guy should not be able to get to Braum. We'll set up our own support behind these guys. Frisa is going to hang out in the back and hope to pick up a weapon. I prematurely sold his stick. Move the... So, Heil is going to try to take this corner. And we're going to move him all the way in so that he can't get choked. Behind him, we're going to move Asgir. As further defense, we're going to move Hiragul down. We're going to hold Braum. We're going to keep Guntram in position. We're going to hold Falk in position. Friso behind the lines. So we're going to engage this brigand raider because we need to do something. We miss our first chop. Oof, and we take it. Now we can destroy his armor, but we miss. That's not looking very good for Heil. Move Falk around. Throw an axe. I'm going to move Braum up because we've got an attack on the pikemen. I'm going to move Guntram down, put him in position to attack. Hirgul through. And we are going to release his hound, who will take 2 to get over there because of the positioning. We get a bite on the pikeman. We just lost Heil to Filer. So we got 2 guys, Axe and Morningstar. Morningstar is probably more dangerous and he's undefended. We chopped his head off. Good hit, boy. Good hit. We're going to move our butcher into the fray. 2 misses. That helps us. Just a wide swing. Hurts all. Hurts his own man in the process. That was fortunate. We're going to move Friso up to try to get a weapon. We need to get some damage going on him and try to break his armor. We just did, so his armor is done. We missed the second hit. We'll pause with Friso. War Dog attacks, nothing happens. We're going to put pressure on the pikemen. We have a dislocated shoulder on Falk, so he no longer has the ability to defend himself. We'll strike. That was a good hit. He's bleeding with a broken nose. We're going to keep our hits on the Warhammer guy. Almost killed him. Near death. He also has a crushed windpipe. We're going to move. I'm going to stay here because we don't want to be in range of the pikemen. Braum pretty much has the last undamaged raider as his opponent. His skills are only split shield, and chop, so we're just going to take 2 more chops and hope for the best. Well, we could split his shield. He's not really using it. There we go, we just hit it. So we're going to put a chop on his shield. He took 2 hits on Hirgul. So they comboed up on Hirgul and killed him. It is not looking good for the Band of the Faceless. Asgeir, who has a fractured hand, was able to kill that brigand. We're going to move him up to potentially break his armor. We're going to move Friso up. I don't think we're going to have the action points to pick up the weapon this turn. So we're going to move back on the thing because I don't want to get in range. War Dog is not performing very well. So we have the option to try to decapitate. This guy is gravely wounded. He has no head armor. He's breaking and catching his breath with a broken nose and bleeding. We can spend 8 extra fatigue to try to do a much heavier hit. I'm going to try to decapitate him. Excellent. And we're going to move forward, hopefully trying to break the resolve. Now Friso is going to move up, grab the Warhammer off the ground. We're going to hold him out of the fray. We're going to finish off his shield. Hit him, nearly killing him. And hopefully Guntram can move up. And he missed the last hit. At the last moment, he killed Falk. And that was a rough first battle. So it looks like Heil the Defiler survived his wounds with brain damage. Now we did take the 20% buff on experience gain, so he's really only got a 5% debuff in the net. Though his initiative is hurt, which is not great. He also has a crushed windpipe, which is going to take 3 to 5 days to recover. Hergold has a weakened heart and cut arm sinew. So that was a really rough first battle. And we lost Falk, who was potentially a valuable cohort to begin with. We did get some good equipment. And a hand axe and a morning star and some like second tier level weaponry. So that was rough. I don't know why. It seems rather wrong that they threw raiders at us on our first quest. But we're going to try to survive and see how it goes. 30 to 40, 30 to 45, 10 fatigue. So there's a bit of balance on both of these permanent debuffs. He's a worn mail shirt and a patched mail shirt. So since Braum is still in the best shape of the party, we're going to give him the best armor. We're also going to upgrade his axe to 1 less crude. We're going to give the Morning Star to Hergold. Along with the patched mail shirt. Make him a bit tougher. We're going to add Asgir the Rock will get hide and bone armor. It's too bad right there at the end we lost the Butcher. The pickaxe is kind of useful for breaking down their early armor. We're going to until we get the crushed windpipe healed, Heil is not going to be very much help at all. We're going to move him into the back line in case we have to fight the orcs. And so we're going to give the higher skilled guy the mallet and the newbie the axe. We're going to add give him some throwing axes to start with in case we have to defend off someone. But really what we're trying to do now is to just get to safety. Looks like if we head to the east and then south through the hills. Great, we found a tomb, which is not optimistic at this point in the game. I don't know what's inside, but more than likely it's something undead. I'm going to cross the mountains without going too far to the north to hopefully lose the orc hunters. It's going to take us 3 to 6 days and 7 to 15 medicinal supplies to heal our men. We're going to hug the mountaintops. And we should return with just enough. We have enough tools to fix our gear. So we get 460 crowns. Gerlach the Burgomeister grins as you enter his room and lay a sacked head on his desk. You need not stain my fineries to show you completed the task, sellsword. I've already gotten news of your success. The birds in these lands do travel fast, don't they? Your payment is in the corner. And we get our first crowns of reward. It only cost us 1 man, some brain damage, and a weakened heart. So we're going to set the reinforced animal hide to be also repaired because it's a decent level of equipment for another one of our cohort. And let's see. I'm just going to toss, actually, we're going to toss bandages into Brahm's belt. So we're going to see if anything's improved price-wise. The cost of bread went down like 4 crowns. I imagine it takes a bit for the game for it to recover there. So we have enough medical supplies. We have enough tools and supplies to repair what we have currently queued. We're going to get rid of the linen tunic. We're going to get rid of the regular cleaver. We're going to keep these other weapons and armor. We have 3 more days of provisions. Don't want to, but we're going to take the bread. And we are going to move off. higher. So we are at the end of the road in Schneeberg, and we have to kind of guess. It looks like our relations may have cleared with House Eberlin, and we may be able to go and find at least a civilian town that we can do business with. I'm going to follow the road, mainly in that we want to heal. We did see that band of brigands who we could potentially compete with. They had an archer, which might have been proved to be problematic. I'm going to go just off-road a little bit to clear the map fog of war. We go up on this hill, see if we have anything to see. $15 hours, 4 tools, 2 to 5 days, and 4 to 12 of our medical supplies. There may be a church available that might be worthwhile to consider healing. Well, now you got like a little light pink. Not sure if we're allowed in. Let's see. We are. So, no church. So no healing our permanent wounds. Take a look at their prices. First of all, no debuffs, lock contract, because we don't have the renown necessary. They have an armorer, a weaponsmith. Go to the tavern. Nothing interesting in the rumor mill. So another war dog. That could help us slightly. Some headgear, because we're kind of light on headgear. Let's take a look at our party. So Heil has healed a bit, but he still has the crushed windpipe, which takes away all of his fatigue. I think we need to keep him in reserve until that's healed. Askir the Rock, 1 to 3 days on a fractured hand. So I think what's best for us right now is to just travel and heal and find the next civilian town that we can do some business with. Very expensive possible additional hires, with the most interesting being Torval the Swordmaster. But besides, there wasn't even good food, so we're going to get out of Dodge. I'm going to run through the town from Weidenfest, because theoretically we already know what's up to the northeast. Let's get on the road, guys. So we see a trading caravan. That trading caravan is well protected and from the protectorate of Al Anwar, which would also mean that this is the road to the southern cities. I'm not sure this early in the game if the southern cities are where we want to go. So let's see. So in all likelihood, these roads connect up. There's probably a town in here, but it's not for certain. Looks like we're coming upon another town to the south. But it is a civilian town that holds no love for us. So the town is hostile, but the So they dispatch their militia. And that's too much for us to consider taking, so we're just going to run. Weissenstadt, another hostile town. So we just passed the midday healing point. Let's take a look. All of our major injuries are still in place. So we have a trading caravan. Probably a little too tough for us in our weakened state. We're going to pass by. Rather than go south, I'm going to go to the east because we should be able to find some additional... You notice a mud a few miles back, and a few miles forward he's still there, bobbing and slinking in and out of sight. A mongrel such as he doesn't follow a band of dangerous men for no reason. Maybe someone's feeding it? We need a mascot. You decide to take a chunk of meat and approach the dog. It's skittish at first, backing away on your approach, but the aroma you have in hand is an alluring one to be sure. The mongrel slinks back towards you, pausing here and there, eyes flicking in search of an ambush. You can see a barrel of ribs on the dog. Many days on the road having given the pump a gaunt frame, its ears stitched up and its tail bolted with signs of battle. This here is an animal that knows how to fight, and that's just what it'll be doing for you from now on. Welcome to the company. So we have Battle Brother the dog. We're going to give that to Brahm. I'd like to... I guess you can't, huh? Rename him. He looks like a feisty little hound. Pass a watchtower that doesn't attack us, which is a good sign. And it looks to be we have gotten to Grolfest, a neutral town. So we have everything repaired that we need to. We have 3 days of provisions, 6 days of money. We have a little more reasonably priced food. Our 3 days of provisions will spoil in 6 and 8 days. We're going to add a bag of grain. It should take us to 5 days and 5 days, which is a decent balance. We could build another, or grab another war dog, which could be good for us, but we need to find where we're going to get to 5 days from now and hopefully have more to do. I'm going to throw the reinforced animal hide, which was the 65, 95, this is 90 and 110. He's wearing 75. I'm going to give that to our back end guy. I think we're going to keep it at just about that level. These are more expensive generally, besides Arnulf, Ludolf the Gambler. We got 2 gamblers, yeah. We're going to stick with our initial crew and try to find some paying work that we can survive. Game would have probably been next to over if the 2 barbarians didn't survive their initial wounds. Jump up on this hill. Looks like the desert is to the south, which would be likely the beginning of the southern cities. We found an abandoned fortress. I think we're going to end up at the cities of the south. We have found Weissenfels, which is a gladly neutral both kingdom and town to us. And they're having a local holiday. Time for food and drink. They have a taxidermist, an armorer, and a marketplace. That marketplace has slightly expensive costs. And they have a level 2 contract. Let's take a look at who we have for hire. We have a thief. We can take about half our cash. We have Sigmund of the Daytailor. And Steiner and Halston the miners. Let's take a look at what potentially we can do for the contract. We're still a couple days from healing our major injuries, with no help here for doing so. But if we have to travel for the contract, that may be ample time to heal. Take a look at the armorer. Just nice stuff that we can't afford. Let's see what they had to say. Gerald of Weissenfels looks at some of his books, perusing what appears to be a good deal of numbers. I've got a shipment of particular goods going to Hotland, and they're leaving soon. I need a bunch of sturdy swordsmen to help make sure it gets there safely. It should take about 3 days of traveling. Are you up for it? How many crowns are we talking about? He jingles his bag of coins. This will be yours if you can help me out on this. You'll receive 1,200 crowns when the contract is done. Now, Hatland doesn't come to mind as a negative city in relations that I know off the top. And unfortunately, there's no way to check that while you're in these screens. I'm trying to get more money, and he offers us 1,310 crowns. I think we have to take it. A travel contract with a decent payout and some more time to heal our major injuries seems like a positive all around. We're going to accept his offer. We're going to escort the caravan to Hotland about 3 days west. West is not a good direction for us. Provisions will be provided. We're going to need some time to think about it. And then let's have a look at where Hotland is. So we don't know where Hotland is. And Hotland is hostile to us. So we know it's not along these roads. It could be a positive. It could show us some territory that we have yet to discover. Perhaps up in this area. Could be here. I think with where things stand for us at the moment, that we're going to agree to it and see what life has to offer us. So we get 1,300 crowns. For the purposes of travel, we're going to move everybody to the front line in case we have to defend ourselves. Take a look at the market. Can't really hurt us to buy a pair of cheap small shields, which we're going to give to our 2 axemen. And we're going to leave and see what the road has to offer. Could be really, really bad. Could be the end of the Faceless Band. Or Band of the Faceless. Faceless Band sounds like a heavy metal band from the 80s. Some Brigmans, an Unhold. Thankfully has no interest in our caravan. We're passing through the first and last friendly city that we're likely to encounter on the way. So, passing through New Kai, we may get attacked by militia. I'm not sure if they'll recognize us as the raiders we are in the guise of caravan guards. See if Weisenstadt dispatches anybody. They do. Bad. Why is... Oh, not good. So wait a second. Wait. So we're getting support. Interesting. So we're getting support. Okay, let's see what happens. So, where is that support? All right. I think the Band of the Faceless who they've also seem to have separated us from our caravan, is going to retreat to the degree that we can. It certainly looked like we had like 3 stacks of support, but we get nothing. I'm going to try to retreat and see how this goes. Since our caravan isn't on screen, I don't know if retreating this battle will count as retreating from them and leaving them behind and ruining the contract. It was definitively a risk. Of which I only took because it looked like we were getting 2 columns of support. So hopefully shall be able to flee. Poor Heil can barely function with his crushed windpipe. We're going to retreat from combat. Oh, it's going to let us get out of here. You stumble around the remains of wagons. It isn't hard to see the merchant's head has been stowed in by some kind of chest, perhaps the very thing behind which he sought protection during the heat of battle. Alas, none of the caravan is in better shape. The battle had proved vicious even by your standards, and the resulting carnage has a few of your brothers heaving. If the nightmares come, then let them come. You deserve little else for your failure. So we lose the caravan quest. I think we're done here. I'm going to move out to the east. And they're going to continue to chase us. I don't understand why this guy's chasing us. Oh, it's because he's from Wessenfels, and was Wessenfels on our not happy with us list? It is. Gotcha. So we found the fallen star. We just need to escape. So it looks like that last round of healing cured our major dysfunctions, which is good news of limited good news available. So that did not go as planned. We have 4 days of food and 2 days of cash. We're going to need to find a way to fix both of those issues. There's some footsteps going off into the trees. That could be brigand. Instead, we find some mercenaries that have been hired by the House of Steinwell, who are our enemies. Not good, not good. So this should be called the Running Away Band, or the Band of Joggers. I'll move through and try to find some territory that we can escape to. Oh, bad move. Need to stay out of vision. Looks like we're coming up on some mountain ranges. Could be bad. We can find a path through those hills. We're going to move to the north to try to put the hills between us and the guys tracking us. Move away from the undead. We've already seen what's available in Schneeberg. It was our only successful, and successful by only masochistic standards quest. Looks like there's a lick of road there. Perhaps that's a stream. I'm going to start cutting through this rocky pass. Hopefully have left the mercenaries as far as behind as possible. Discovered a outlaw's hideaway. We're going to move back north to Schneeberg. We could be in trouble. We only have a day's worth of cash, 3 days worth of provisions. Desperation reigns. We could sell some of our weaponry and gain a bit more time, which we may need to do. We got 3 days of provisions. We only have 1 day of crowns. We're going to go ahead and sell the crude axe and the sackcloth, which will give us another day's worth of cash. We're going to also sell the pickaxe. We're going to see what this contract is. Nobody likes us in Weissenstadt. Can't do it. We can't allow for certain death. Yeah, Weissenstadt was back into the belly of unhappy. It's interesting that Weissenfels company ignored us. We're going to move to the northeast here and see if we can find another company or another civilian town that isn't entirely unhappy with us. I don't think we want something that populated as a challenge. We should be fully healed. We are. So we can take on something. So let's take a look at the spread of our weaponry. Mainly doing that to put the Warhammer on a guy with less overall, with higher overall fatigue, in order to make it more viable for longer in our next battle. We're moving to the northwest now. Dark is closing in. 3 more days of provisions. 1 more day of cash. So like we did with the trying to stay out of the marshes. Move up on these hills, see what we can see in the daytime. In the light of morning. Some orc berserkers. We are just not ready. I would have taken a risk on young orcs at this point of desperation. Alright, so there is a small fortress. I think being in the dire situation that we are, we only have about a day and a half of cash. The day is halfway done. We don't know where we're going. We're going to try the Undone Fortress. And we're going to engage whomever. So, 11 brigands. Looks like a mix of thugs and raiders. This could be maybe survivable. Let's see. I see more thugs than brigands, which is good, or raiders. So they're moving out a strong center. We do have the high ground on them. I think we're going to try to defend the high ground. See if we can draw them to us. So we got some well-armed but lightly armored thugs. I think we're going to hold ground. See what happens. So we have a raider moving in. He has no headgear. Braum has some of our lowest initiative. It's very likely he is going to get engaged by one of these gents. So we're gonna take a 52% shot at hitting this guy and take him out. Nice hit. We're gonna hold and see if we need that one movement. So we had the brigand move forward and onto our high ground. He's trying to break our advantage. I believe we have a brigand in these trees, or in this bush. We're going to move into it. We're going to unleash our war dog on him. Guntram takes a hit. I'm going to try to knock back with 65% chance the raider. Good hit. Move forward to lock him down beneath us. We get a 59% chance there. We can move up to high ground, which we're going to. That improves us to 69% chance. We're going to stab at the thug with a pitchfork. Misses. Damn. We don't have much room for error. So we are going to move off the high ground, release our hound, and see if the hound can do any business. Now, Highlay has the option to smite, 6 action point, 15 fatigue, 60 to 90 on that brigand thug, or he can try to shatter. This guy has full armor, but it's not very impressive. That would be a 30 hit fatigue hit with minus 10 to hit, but we're hitting from high ground. This is a wild swing. I'm going to just try to hit him with a heavy smite that should ignore most of his armor as is. Smash him. 71%. Come on. Ugh. Misses. Horrid. Okay. Got a bite on the armor. 2 small bites. Looks like we tore the ear on there. So we can impale. That's our best option. We could move forward and try to support on the raider. But I think we need to hang back because otherwise we'd be exposing ourselves to the damage. I'm going to save the option to move. So here we have a brigand raider. I'm going to take his shield and chop it down. Gonna try to knock out the raider. He's near death. Killed him. Excellent. Highlight is taking a lot of damage. Still not a good position overall. We're gonna take his shield. We're going to attack both of these guys with a wild shatter. Nearly killed this thug. I think we're going to concentrate fire, see if we can survive. Got a good bite on him. Another bite on their pitchfork guy. Highlight took 2 hits and then was killed. Still not looking that good for us. I'm going to try to survive this by pushing him. Doesn't work. Take out the strongest of them if we can. Failure. %45 chance either way. We're going to try to get the knockout. We do. Move to the high ground. Kill the one between us if we can. Let our dogs attack. We broke that raider. Missed on the pitchfork. And we just lost Guntram. This brigand, we take a nice hit and we break the morale of a lot of their nearby support. I need to survive this. He's fleeing. Got a height disadvantage. These two have already attacked. So has he. We're going to cut our way through him if we can. Going to move forward. Get a chop on their pitchfork. We need to protect Friso. So we kill the raider between us and hold the high ground. Killed another one with the dog. Still possible we lose this. Morale is breaking on their bottom flank. We can try to repel him, 50% chance. It works. Great. He's bleeding. Here, gold. So we have two fleeing nearby. We get a hit on the one brigand thug above us. Takes 2 hits. I'm going to try to kill this guy for the impact on morale. Doesn't seem to have any. Kill a second. Don't have the fatigue to move to cover. One of their guys is retreating. The dog takes down the second retreating. Our dogs did good work for us. But a first hit on this brigand raider, who was fairly undamaged for the overall. I'm going to move up and surround him to try to break his morale. Don't have the fatigue to do much about it. Get a hit on him if we can. We can't. I'm going to have one shot at him there. Miss. Thought that could have killed him. Our dog is chasing down that thug as he runs. Take him out. Our dogs are chasing the... Get another good hit, but barely any damage. Good axe hit. Morning Star from high ground misses. Axe from behind misses. Could die. Ooh. Dogs take out another fleeing thug. Another hit with the pitchfork from the high ground. Miss from the axe at close range. And try to bash him. Takes enough damage that his morale breaks. We don't have the fatigue to do much about it. And we kill him. I'm going to run him down to let our dogs kill this last thug. I don't think we have any bleeds. They might get him. The dogs take down the last of them. We lost Heil. He was a fine fellow, though he was brain damaged. Guntram survived his injuries with a missing ear. That's probably one of the least concerning of the permanent injuries. We have some loot, at least a day's worth of wages. We get a boar spear, that's awesome, and morning stars, some headgear, some lamellar armor, which should be decent protection for its fatigue cost, and some tools. We'll take everything. I actually think I have set to auto take everything because it never really seems to make sense that there'd be a situation where you would not want to. So we're going to upgrade Asgear's headgear. Close ranks, spread out our back end guys. Guntrim is now going to get his own headgear. We're going to want to put some small pointy daggers on our rear guys for closer combat utility rather than just pushing. Got some cloth rolls that would be useful to sell. We did overall better than I expected for that encounter. We're going to give his permanent debuff is minus 30% hit points. So we'll get a +3 instead of a +4, but I think it's worthwhile to still buff him in that direction. We're going to buff his initiative because we want to strike early and fast. We get another perk. I'm going to hold on the perks until I see how our other gents level up. Asgear actually caught 2 levels in that battle. We're going to give him a buff on fatigue. We're going to give him a buff on his melee defense. And we're going to give him a buff on his initiative. Again fatigue, again initiative, again melee defense. So we're kind of building him towards turtling a bit, which I think what we're going to do is we're going to give him the better shield and the spear to try to be a turtle. We're going to give him Colossus to bump up his hit points. I think we want fast adaptation. Mainly because we want him to be stabby and accurately so. Fast adaptation is usually what I give on the back range guys. Crippling strikes could be good. Don't have really much to swap around. I'm going to go for crippling strikes. Man, he's not really going to do much of that with the spear anyways. We're going to give him student to try to get him more levels more quickly. So lastly on Brown. His permanent debuff, he does not have one. He's been our survivor so far. He's been our strongest character. We need to get his melee up a bit. I'm going to add some defense. I'm going to also add some Okay. Now perks wise. He's got the heaviest armor of the group, as well as the heaviest headgear. Reducing that by 30%. Can save a little, not a great deal. Rotation might not be bad, just to be able to fancy footwork. I think we're going to take crippling strikes because we want greater injury where possible to improve our chances of survival. I'm going to do that on both him and Hergold. Kind of an odd start, but we want to do maximum damage to the back range. We're going to level up the melee skills, the initiative. We'll take the big buff on resolve. And we're going to level up the melee skills. And give him a buff of health. I don't know that we need another bump on resolve. I'm going to go with fatigue. We're going to give him crippling strikes, but we're also going to give him executioner. So the hope being that our front range guys and our back range guys can potentially cause crippling injuries to the opponents, and then we also will start building up the ability to take advantage of that. So we got 95 and 10. I'll throw that on Hergold. That lets us armor up Friso. We also get the opportunity to throw a shield on Hergold. I think we want a Morning Star on Brahm too. That gives us the ability to throw some stuns, and they're still heavy damage, 30 to 45, so actually better. Takes away our ability to de-shield the enemy, but I think it's safer for the moment. So congratulations, fellas. You gained yourselves 3 more days of pay. You have 3 days of provisions. We don't have enough tools to fix our equipment. We're assuming somewhere to the north we're going to gain additional towns, but that may be a gamble. It's possible that the House Grimwald only has those 3 towns, and there's nothing to the north. We have 3 to 5 medical supplies and 3 to 5 days to heal our new injuries. It's going to be a rough going. leaning towards we should retreat back to Schneeberg. Because we just don't know what's out here. But I think what that is going to be is for another episode, because we're about 2 hours into this one. And it was a good start. There was a lot of running. We've lost one of our original barbarians. We have a few permanent injuries spread out. But we're starting to gain a foothold. It'll just be to see if we can survive it further. Otherwise, thanks for watching if you're watching now. If you're happen to be watching this later, going to store these as VODs here and also on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.